This video is going to be about how the scooter, especially the most recent kick scooter technologies, are completely destroying a big part of the folding bike market. And I will explain to you why. And as usual, I am providing links to every sample I'm showing you in this video, so you can do your own research and verify the facts for yourself. So first and foremost, the sales of bicycles, whether compact or not, remained quite steady. There was a little bit of an increase some years back, but just a very little bit, and then slowing down. But ever since COVID happened, and not so much COVID, I mean that too, but also the lockdown and the various government orders, and also the scare tactics coming from the media, people got really scared in 2020, and then they got even more scared in 21, and they keep on buying these things, mostly bicycles, but also other things. Now this graph is just showing you the bicycles, and an increase from $4.5 billion to at least 6 is a very significant increase. This is more than 25%, and it happened literally in just 2 years of time. And that's because people in urban areas are scared of the infections going around, but in most cases they are also scared of other things like the dirt, the homelessness, the danger, the criminality, terrorism, and all of that. So there are a lot of reasons for people to get onto any kind of rideable they can get on. And so this is a graph about the bicycles, but something like electric scooters, for example, didn't even play a major role a decade ago. They are relatively recent in being able to give you a decent range. I purchased my own in 2016 and was such an early adapter that people were actually photographing and filming me several times on my commute in Manhattan. So what are people getting on? What are the things that is really the smallest? Is some kind of a mono wheel, one of these scooters that is really very small, not expensive, very easy to maintain, incredibly compact without having to fold it. The problem is you can't really go fast on this without being seriously dressed up. I mean, shin and elbow protection, a full face off-road motorcycle helmet, because if you fall in this thing, you're going to fall on your face. There's nothing to hold on. So people either get all the gear for it, or they buy a low-speed version, something like this one, 12 miles an hour. That's about sufficient. Also for shopping, which is very important, we do it. I always carry bags on my kick scooter. So for shopping, this is not very good because you still have to carry the bags on either on your shoulder, or you have a backpack, or you have to hold it in your hands, and it's going to be an absolute drag to balance this thing. So I'm definitely not recommending that you get this. If you want something to get around town with, and you accept my argument, which I'm going to explain later on, that the folding bike is not the thing to get, then I don't recommend that you go for one of these mono wheels or mobility scooters. Something a lot of people have been getting is a kick scooter that's not so expensive, and this thing is a very popular model. It's been around for a while. It's not the latest or best technology, but it's very inexpensive, and you can get actual Chinese models here. I mean, look at how cheap this is. This is a Segway, so there's an American company with its quality control checking out the Chinese stuff, and I do recommend that if you are going to go for one of these cheaper models, then you should go for something that's handled by a US or European company, Canadian company, somebody in the first world, not to buy directly from China. You can get a Chinese version for half this price, but you're going to pay the price later on. And look at this, 18 miles an hour, which is really not bad on these tiny wheels. A whopping 40 miles of range, for $700. That's almost incredible. That's really something. As far as fast charging, I'm not sure. 6 hours, that's not very fast charging. I charge up my electrified Brompton Interceptor in only 4 hours. But this thing doesn't have any pedals, and you go 40 miles just on electricity. You are not pedaling, so that's really, really good. I am not endorsing these rides. I am giving them an honorable mention, so you can consider them. It's not going to last a lifetime. It's not handmade. It's not some legendary design made out of all metal. It's prefab, cheap plastic made in a Chinese factory. But if you get a Segway or some Western company to check it out, then you are going to get decent quality. Now here's another company. It's actually not only Chinese, but it's not handled by anything in the US. It's sold from China. But they have sold a bunch of good stuff into the US market. They are handling the electric scooter rentals in New York. Like this type of scooter, you can rent them in New York. They are reliable. They have been pretty good on the market. And for the money you're paying $1,000 for 40 miles of range, 20 miles of top speed, and really a very attractive design with disc brakes. It's really a convincing deal. And they have some cheaper things. Even this cheap thing for $600 has 25 miles of range. That could easily handle most of what people do in cities and even in suburbs. So most of your shopping and errand and commuting needs you can easily cover with one of these. Here's another one I should mention. There have been some complaints about reliability with this scooter, but I think that the quality is just so good. Not the quality, I mean the design and the technologies used. This scooter is using some high quality metal composites such as magnesium. It has a very unique tire system. This is an airless tire technology that tire companies have been working on for at least a decade. They have not been able to create a ride as smooth as air inflated tire, but this airless and yet flaxy tire that gives you some level of suspension is still better than a very firm, solid piece of rubber. So the technology is just really good. I don't think it has electronic braking. That's the only part that I don't like. But you should check out the link that I'm giving you below and check out the website. The electronics are really sophisticated. You get decent range for the money and just beautiful design. So it's a gorgeous scooter, no question about it. So this is something you might want to take a look at. And they have several models. Now if you want to go for something I do endorse, like a high quality scooter, that would be something like the Dualtron or the Weped. This is at least partially handmade, very high quality materials. It's actually the steering column is actually made of steel. It's very sturdy. You have suspension front and rear, excellent range, excellent speed. So but you'll have to pay for it. So this one is a little bit more expensive, $2,000 for this model, which is not even available, but check the link below because there are all kinds of models coming on the market constantly, and they have something even cheaper than that, not as attractive as the one I was just looking at. And the weight is heavier, 40 pounds, because of quality materials. And sometimes you have a dual motor setup as well, which I actually do like. I mean, look at this top speed, 30 miles an hour. That's crazy speed. The range, 40 miles on a single charge. ABS. This is insane technology for a tiny stand-up scooter like this. So this I do recommend it. It's a great ride. Folds kind of imperfectly and it's quite heavy as well. So you want to just roll it on the wheels until you get to the point where you actually want to store it, and that's where you fold. But I think it's a very attractive design, very sturdy design as well. And also I do like the fact that the tires are solid and not inflatable, because in the city you just don't want inflatable tires. This thing has the range and the technology to do absolutely everything in an urban neighborhood. I mean, if you have 30-40 miles of range, you can literally do everything. You can hang shopping bags, as I do on my own kick scooter, from the handlebars, and you can shop, you can go to the office, you can do everything you want with it, so long that you don't go for some kind of a scenic ride. Now, if you want to step up a bit even from that level, and this is a really crappy website, this is Weped. If you click on my shopping page below, I have a link to their website, but I'm going to give you a separate link anyway. This is very meticulous, beautifully made. It has a double fold. You fold down the steering column and you fold back the rear as well, and it has carry wheels in the rear. So once you have folded it, you can still drag it pretty easily. And look at how it's put together out of a zillion aluminum sheets that are custom cut. This is all handmade. This is South Korean. It's all hand built. It's even more fancy than the Dualtron, and just an excellent scooter to get, even though the website is garbage. So you have to get in touch with the US dealer and tell them what you want. Since this is handmade, they are also changing the models even more so than the Dualtron. One nice thing that I really insist on getting is the electronic braking, which it does have. So e-braking is included. Very nice. You can regenerate some energy on downhills, and you're not burning up your hydraulic disc brake when you're going on a long downhill. That's why I like to use the e-brake. I have it on my Brompton as well. I would not want to live without it. The speed is insane. You're looking at 60 miles an hour. Okay, 56. That's insane. A range of maybe 65 miles per charge. So you do pay more, but you do get a lot. And also the Samsung SDI battery technology is probably the best there is right now. You can't even buy an e-bike battery that has Samsung SDI in it. So it's heavy as hell. 80 pounds is very heavy. But this is basically a foldable apartment motorcycle. That's why you're paying what you're paying. Is it not worth it to get something like this to go 60-65 miles on a single charge with mini moto like speeds? And you can store this under the bed in your apartment. You don't need to register it. You don't even need to carry a driver license, although I always do just in case. So definitely check out the Weped link below. Consider what you can do with the folding bike. The most compact folding bike, the most capable when it comes to like converting it into a shopping cart at will, is still the Brompton with the easily mounted front bag. But close to $2,000, and you're not even getting anything electric. You have an oily chain. You're going to be covered in sweat after the first 5 miles of riding, especially if you are riding somewhere in a hot climate, which could even be in New York or Chicago during the summer. Certainly much of California, Texas, Florida, a bunch of other places. You're going to be covered in sweat and oil, and you are paying almost $2,000 to get this thing. So, okay, they have an electric bike. What if I got something a little relatively less complex, 4-speed? $4,000. You are paying the money that you're paying for this out-of-control scooter for something that still has the oily chain, still has a much more complicated fold, because you have to fold it 2 places in the front, 1 place in the rear. It's really not so easy to deal with this thing. You're not going to be covered in sweat, although you're not going to get even half the power of the Weped electric, like the one I was just looking at. This is really a contrived way of trying to stretch 1970s, 80s technology into the 21st century. And I have been highly critical. I am the owner of a Brompton steel frame, which I electrified myself, to be way better than this, way more powerful, fully open. I can tune it any way I want to, but it cost me $5,000 to build it. So it depends on who you are. If you want something ready-made, this is what you're going to pay: $4,000, and still plenty of drawbacks compared to a Xootr. Not to mention that you could buy two of the Dualtrons, two of these Xootrs, for the price of just one of these electrics. It is not really Brompton's fault, but it's not possible to make an electric foldable bike for the price of a Xootr, because it's simply a much more complex object. You have hinges and folds all over the place. It's not just a simple L shape that you fold in a fraction, like literally in 5 seconds. You cannot do this. So is there a market left for compact and foldable and separable bikes? Yes, but the Brompton is not a ruler of that. So the market that we are looking at is something like for exercise, using these bikes, putting them into the car or onto public transportation, and do touring, do racing, do exercise, going out into the woods and onto the greenways. The Xootr offers you absolutely no exercise benefit. They look like they are kickable, but you cannot really kick them. If you use electricity, it's just going to be so powerful, you're not going to be able to kick them. If you turn it off, it's going to be like kicking a Xootr in the mud. It's so heavy. You're looking at 35, 45 pound objects. So for exercise, yes, but if you want to do racing and exercise, then there are much better machines than the Brompton. Look at this one, similar prices to the higher end Bromptons, but look at what you're getting: a frame with absolutely no brakes in it, super elegant, super high tech. Look at the wheels you are getting. A carbon 3-spoke wheel. I mean, it's aerodynamic and everything. You are looking at a far, far more sophisticated design for roughly the same roughly the same thing that the high-end titanium Brompton was built for. It folds in a different way. It's actually very, very flat, so it's easy to store, but it's a different, I wouldn't say it's less compact, but it's just compact in a different way. Are you going to get flexing here? Yeah, definitely. That's just part of the deal with a folding bike. But at least you get a single piece steering column here, just like with the Brompton. If you want more comfort, more of a touring setup, then you can get to the Birdy. This is actually less than $2,000 in US dollars, which is an absolute steal, even if you have to pay tolls and shipping out of Taiwan to get this bike. You are getting 2-inch wide gravel tires for this money, hydraulic disc brakes front and rear, 20-something gears, front and rear suspension. Unfortunately, this elastomer you would want to upgrade. It's probably going to be a couple $100 to do that. And I'm not crazy about the adjustable front stem because it's just going to flex even more. But certainly a way more comfortable and powerful bike to ride than either the Hummingbird or any of the Bromptons, really. You want even more than this, then you got to go for the Moulton. But you're going to be talking about several thousands of dollars, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 to get something like this. Very high quality, hand built, rigid. You don't have any flexing in the front because look at how it's built. It's built like a tank. You get everything else, like really top-end componentry, hydraulic disc brakes front and rear. So this is the top of the line if you are on the market for what a compact or folding bike is really used for at this point, which is to put it in the car, put it on public transit, and to go out to the mountains or in the forest to have a fun scenic ride on the weekend. Look at the suspension, front and rear, really sophisticated. This is an air-filled ball, and you can separate it in the center. It takes a few minutes to separate it, but that's the cost of getting something as sturdily built and yet compact as this bike, and you get 20-inch wheels as well. So at this point, if you haven't already bought a compact bike, I recommend that you take a careful look at what you're going to be using it for. I personally have the folding bike, and I have a kick scooter as well. The kick scooter I have is a bit different. It has no motor in it, and certainly there is a benefit to buying something that is ultralight. Like, this is not even ultralight, this is hyper light. These are 11 pounds, these scooters, and there is practically no weight to them. You can carry them anywhere. You can carry them up to the 6th floor. Fold to a very compact size. You can fly with them. I have flown many times with my scooter. They are incredibly simple. There's no maintenance other than wet wiping them to remove the dust once a week, twice a week, whatever you want. I use my Xootr practically every day, really. I use it a lot more than the folding bike. My folding electric bike is really used for fun on the weekends, and I use this Xootr scooter to take care of business, to do shopping, to do errands. Very easy to jump onto the bus or the subway with this thing. It folds in seconds, and look at the price. We have been discussing rides that cost thousands of dollars. This thing costs $300 at the most, some of them even less. And the amount of money I save on public transit and on the cab fare will pay for several scooters like this in just a couple of years, and I've had mine for 2 decades. So it's a ridiculously good deal. As I mentioned, I'm putting a link below to all of these websites, so you are welcome to check them out and do your investigation. I'll see you in the next video.
I'll be back.